Israeli officials say that they won't warn the United States if they decide to launch a preemptive strike against Iranian nuclear facilities, in order to decrease the likelihood of the United States being held responsible for failing to stop Israel's potential attack. The U.S. has been working with the Israelis for months to persuade them that an attack would only be a temporary setback to Iran's nuclear program. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Ehud Barak delivered the message to a series of top-level U.S. visitors, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the White House National Security Advisor, and the Director of National Intelligence, and top U.S. lawmakers, all trying to close the trust gap between Israel and the U.S. over how to deal with Iran's nuclear ambitions. The pronouncement sets a tense tone ahead of meetings in the coming days at the White House and Capitol Hill. The Palestinian Authority may reconsider the diplomatic agreements it currently has with Israel, given what it calls Israel's repeated violations of them. The PA said it is weighing whether to continue its security and economic cooperation with Israel or instead spark a popular uprising against the Israeli occupation. The PA will also explore the possibility of again approaching the UN Security Council and General Assembly to obtain some form of official recognition as a state. PA President Mahmoud Abbas has been saying recently that he plans to contact Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to ask for clarifications of Israel's positions on a variety of issues. Jordan's Queen Rania recently phoned Syrian President Bashar Assad's wife, Asma, to ask about the situation in the battle-torn country. Assad's wife responded that their situation was excellent. The uncle of King Abdullah II of Jordan told Jordanian television that the king called Assad a number of times and encouraged him to introduce reforms in his country. Shortly after the uprising in Syria broke out, King Abdullah sent his royal court chief, Khalid Karaki, to Damascus to try and persuade Assad to implement reforms. Sources close to the Jordanian regime said that Assad has refused to take calls from Jordanian officials. A smuggler was killed in an early morning gun battle on Tuesday as an Israel Defense Forces patrol thwarted an attempt by some 15 smugglers to cross the Israel-Egypt border. During routine activity on the border, the IDF identified several suspects making their way across. The soldiers told the suspects to stop, but they didn't heed the call. The soldiers began firing at the suspects, who returned fire. The smugglers fled the scene and returned to the Sinai Peninsula, leaving behind one wounded accomplice. An IDF medical crew that was rushed over pronounced his death. Germany's opposition Left Party nominated veteran Nazi hunter Beat Klarsfeld as its candidate in next month's presidential election. 73-year-old Klarsfeld is up against 72-year-old Joachim Gauck, who has been nominated by Chancellor Angela Merkel's ruling coalition together with two opposition parties. The appointment is to be made by an assembly of 1,240 public figures. Klarsfeld and her husband Serge have devoted their lives to privately tracking down Nazis who took part in the Holocaust but returned to post-war life without being brought to justice. She tracked down Nazi Klaus Barbie.